very good morning. And I want to begin with this thought that if you can't lead yourself, you'll struggle to lead anything else. So before I begin, I want to ask you something. And please think about this genuinely. Have you ever given advice to someone, maybe your child, your colleague, a friend, and then quietly thought to yourself, but I don't do this myself? We've all been there, haven't we? Even when we started these sessions a year ago, even I used to think, यार मैं सुबह जो सब कुछ कहता हूँ, do I do it myself? So just speaking with you every morning is bringing a change in myself because I am also getting converted into an action taker, right? So, and we all know that what should be done. We know what is right, but somewhere between knowing and doing, something gets lost. So, what is that something? And that is self leadership. So, today we are not going to talk about leading a team or managing a department. We are going to talk about something far more fundamental and honestly, far more difficult. We are going to talk about leading the one person you spend every single moment of your life with, yourself. So imagine a ship captain, experienced, respected, decorated. He commands a great fleet, but here's the twist: his own ship, it's a mess. The compass keeps spinning, the sails are torn, he has no map, he's just drifting. So tell me, would you trust that captain to guide your ship? Of course not. And yet, every single day, many of us show up to lead our families, our offices, our businesses, while our own internal compass is spinning. And we are reacting instead of responding. We are exhausted instead of energized. And we are distracted instead of directed. So, a captain who cannot control his own ship cannot guide a fleet. So, leadership always begins with self direction. So, let's go deeper into this self leadership. So, I'll say self leadership in simple terms is three things. One, discipline. Doing what you said you would do, even when the mood isn't there. So let me say that again. Doing what you said you would do, even when the mood isn't there. Number two, emotional control. Not letting your frustration speak louder than your wisdom. And this is so very important for many of us. That is, not letting your frustration speak louder than your wisdom. And number three, clarity. Knowing what truly matters to you and living accordingly. And now, let me give you some examples, and I promise you will recognize yourselves in at least one of these. So, it's for the working women here. So, just imagine Priya has back to back meetings all morning. And by afternoon, she's already feeling the pressure building. Her junior colleague makes a small mistake. Nothing big, but Priya snaps at her. The meeting goes cold. The team gets quiet. And later that evening, Priya feels awful about it. And here's what she tells herself: I was stressed. I couldn't help it. But here's the truth: Priya's stress was real, but her reaction, that was a leadership failure, not of the team, but of her own self. Her emotion led the room that day, not her intention. So self leadership would have said, I'm overwhelmed right now. Let me take one breath before I respond. And for the homemakers, Savitriji wakes up at 5:30 every morning. She makes chai, prepares tiffins, manages the house, takes care of the elderly, all before 8 a.m. And by evening, she's running on empty. She keeps giving and giving and giving, and nobody asks her, Savitriji, how are you doing? And now some might say, she's just a homemaker. Just, I can laugh at that. But I say she's running the most complex, emotionally demanding operation. And if Savitriji doesn't lead herself, if she doesn't pause, doesn't replenish, doesn't say, I also need rest, then one day the foundation of that entire household quietly cracks. So self leadership isn't selfish, it's sustainable. And let me tell you about Rajesh. He's been promoted 3 times. He earns well, his boss trusts him, but at home, he hasn't had a real conversation with his son in 6 months. He keeps saying, I'll take a break soon, just one more deadline. And meanwhile, his son has quietly stopped knocking on his door. Rajesh is leading his department beautifully, but he has completely lost leadership over his own priorities. So, your habits, what you do every single day, are your first followers. So, before your team watches you, your family is watching you. And before your family watches you, your own mind is watching. So, let's do an exercise. And I would say, like 60 seconds of honesty. So, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. No need to share with anyone. This is just between you and yourself, not with anybody else. So ask yourself honestly just one question. Where am I not leading myself well right now? Let me say that again. Where am I not leading myself well right now? Is it your health that you keep postponing? Your anger that arrives before your awareness? So the conversation you need to have, but keep delaying. Or the habit you said you would break 6 months ago. It can be anything. Just talk to yourself honestly. Don't judge yourself. Just notice. No excuses. Nothing. Just be present to where you are not leading yourself. And now, here is the only task I'm giving you today. Take one corrective action. Just one. Today. Not next Monday. Not after the next festival. Not in the new year. Just today. Because small, consistent self leadership is what separates the people who talk about change from the people who actually live it. So before I end, I want to leave you with something I find deeply beautiful. There's an old saying that goes, the tree that grows strongest is the one that learned to stand on its own roots first. Let me say that again. The tree that grows strongest is the one that learned to stand on its own roots first. So you cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot guide others through a fog you haven't cleared within yourself. And you cannot inspire people to be their best selves if you are not quietly and daily working to become yours. So here is my call to action. And of course, it's a gentle one. Tonight, Before you sleep, take 2 minutes. Yes, 2 minutes. Sit quietly. Ask yourself, did I lead myself well today? Where did I show up fully? And where did I fall short? I'm sure many of you are in the habit of journaling at the end of the day. So do ask these three questions every evening before you go to sleep. Did I lead myself well today? Where did I show up fully? And where did I fall short? Of course, it's not to punish yourself, but to know yourself better. Because the greatest leadership journey you will ever take is the one inward. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.